Ayan. So, ay, may papigil. Okay. So, ayan. So, enough na yung time na binigay natin for the others to participate in our class for today. Ayan. So, let's start our lesson for today. Yun. So, syempre, good vibes na kayo na nakatatlong songs na tayo. So, our lesson for today is all about fiction. Ayan. So, when we say fiction, napag-usapan na natin to before, diba? Yung iba't ibang traditional na genre. Meron ako actually pinagawang activity dito. Yung isa sa mahabang activity na pinagawa ko before, yung gagawa kayo ng mga sarili nyong examples of 21st century genre, tapos napili kayo ng isang traditional genre na gagawin ninyo. So, tanda ko yun. So, sinabi ko rin before na meron tayong 4 na uri ng traditional genre. We have fiction, non-fiction, poetry, and drama. So, may 4. Diba? Yung poetry na tackle na natin. Nakapag-usap na tayo tungkol sa poetry. Nakapag-usap na rin tayo tungkol sa non-fiction. Pero meron pa tayong isa pang lesson tungkol doon. Ngayon, we're going to learn about fiction. Kasi next week, drama naman tayo. So, we have our fiction for today. So, pag sinabi natin fiction, what comes to your mind when we say fiction? Sige nga, let's have Brian. Ayan, si Brian nag-open ng mic. Go, Brian.
That's it. And something that invented or unprocessed. Mga hindi processed. Saka na-invent lang po.
Okay, very good. So, parang tama naman yun, no? Invented or hindi totoo. Doon tayo sa salitang hindi totoo, no? In real life basis, hindi natin siya nakikita, no? So, bigyan nyo ako ng example ng isang fiction. Sige nga. Hindi daw totoo. Definitely, it's from the imagination of the author. So, can you give me an example of a fiction literature? Anyone from the group? Sige nga. Anything to share? Sige, magkatawag ako.
Harry Potter.
Sir, please. Tanong, sir.
Give me an example of a fiction. Something that was created out of author's imagination. Sabi ni Marcy, Harry Potter. That's correct. Okay. Fiction is Harry Potter is a fiction. Yes.
Sir, mga comics po, sir.
Okay, mga comics. Okay, usually yung mga Marvel comics, no? DC comics. So talagang fiction 'yon kasi hindi naman talaga nangyayari 'yon. Superhero stories 'yon eh. Okay. So, napakaraming uri ng fiction. Napakaraming ng fiction stories, napakalat-kalat or hindi naman sa pakalat-kalat. Parang ang dami na nila, kahit saan ka tuminging library, may fiction. Kasi napaka-imaginative ng mga authors. No? Napaka-lawak ng imagination. Kaya ang daming ipinanganak ng mga subtypes of fiction. Pero class, meron tayong tinatawag na, before anything else, let's properly define what a fiction is. Ayan. So, what is a fiction? Ayan. So, can you please read CJ Acosta?
Fiction generally includes works which are purely products of the writer's imagination. All its characters and events are just perceived to be real, but they don't exist in real life.
Okay, very good. So it's a product of writer's imagination. At the same time, the characters and events are just perceived to be real, but they don't exist in real life. Thus, fiction is not real. Okay? So it's a product of the author's imagination. And, yun nga sabi ko sa inyo, may mga ipinanganak na mga types ng fiction na hindi natin alam na yung pala yung tawag sa kanila. Okay? One of those are there are 3 major fiction forms, no? One of these forms is a short story. Okay. So, yung mga short story natin, mga fictions yan, no? Sinabayan ng novela. Okay? Kasi, akala natin before, pag narinig natin yung salitang novela, it is the Tagalog counterpart or Tagalog translation of novel. Pero hindi natin alam, novela is also a type of fiction. Okay? Actually, meron pang isa, yung novelette. No? Hindi noveleta, novelette guys ha. Ayan. Magaling gumawa ng story. Sino? CJ, novela. Yung isa, novelette. Yung pero kasi hindi pa siya well accredited na novelette talaga. So, yung novelette, bago siya, short story, novelette, novela. Okay, yun yung pagkakasunod-sunod. Pero kasi yung novelette, hindi siya masyadong ginagamit. Novela yung ginagamit. Okay? So, and the last one is a novel. Okay, yun na. So, pwede kayong ma-confuse. Teka lang. I thought novela and novel are the same. Ay, may novelette pa pala. So, short story, novelette, novela, novel. So, where does they differ? No? Lahat sila class storya. Okay? Lahat sila may story, lahat sila may plot, lahat sila may characters. Ang kaibahan lang, yung number of words na ginagamit nila. Okay? So, kumbaga sa comparison, maikli, mahaba, tapos mas mahaba. Okay? So, ganun yung kanilang differentiation. So, pag sinabi mong short story, kaya nga short story, maikli. Tapos nanganak pa nga yung short story, di ba? Nagkaroon pa siya ng mga flash fiction. Naalala? So may mas maiikli pa, mas may maiikli pang maikling pa. So, kaya lang, in fiction, 3 major fiction forms lang siya. So, nanggaling lang sa kanilang tatlo yung iba pa. So, si short story, siya yung pinakamaikli. So, isa-isahin natin yan. So, punta tayo kay short story. Ayan. So, ganda ng PowerPoint, di ba? Short story tayo. Okay. So, pagdating kay short story class, okay, sige, please read. Bri.
It is a short fiction that can be read in one sitting, has few characters and singular complication. It's under 7,500 words.
Okay, very good. So, tingnan nyo yung short story, just a short fiction, it can be read in one sitting. Kapag nagbasa ka ng short story, matik na yun class, isang upuan lang yun, kaya nyo siyang tapusin. Pero, pagdating naman kay short story nga, anong words niya? 7,500 and below. So, konti lang yung number of words niya. Siguro, mga 10 pages lang yan, or maybe 10 to 15 pages will do. Yan si short story. Okay? It is under 7,500 words. Okay. Ngayon, si short story usually siya yung napapanood natin sa mga YouTube na mga 8-minute video, 7-minute video na meron na siyang storya, meron na siyang plot. So, I'm gonna give you an example of a short story. Yan. Okay, so I want you to watch it kasi mamaya when we delve deeper more, ayan, may kaklase ba kayong Kenji Himura?
Opo, sir. ICT
Sa
po.
ICT.
Sarya yan, sir.
Ayan na
Kenji
siya.
Sarya.
So, hindi, chine-check ko kasi minsan kasi may pumapasok na hindi natin kakilala. Okay, so, alright. So, bibigyan ko kayo ng isang sample ng short story na, syempre, 21st century tayo, digitalized siya, no? Ginawa siyang animated video. So, just focus on the story and you will see, oo nga, short story siya kasi, maikli, no? Kaya short story maikli. Okay, let's have it. Okay.
Hey, I'm Kirsty, and I have an identical twin sister called Arabelle. We didn't have a normal upbringing, as our mom abandoned us at an orphanage when we were 6. We have our mom's dark blue eyes. That's pretty much all I remember about her. I'm not fully sure why she gave us up. I guess she was young and just couldn't cope. As little kids, my sister and I were close. We used to fool the other kids and the nuns into thinking that we were each other. Arabelle always wore a pink bow in her hair, so we'd both wear one and freak the kids out by double-crossing them in the corridors. Those were good times. But when we got older, everything has changed. I started to become green with envy at Arabelle. Everyone always liked her more than me. The nuns called her Little Cat, and every kid kept surrounding her like she was a sparkling star or something. They all thought she was so sweet and polite. This annoyed me because I knew the real her, and she wasn't sweet at all, if not a completely fake girl. And she just knew exactly what to say and do to get the most from people. Then, when we were 12, a lot had been happening that completely changed our lives. The orphanage had financial problems that could not be saved. Our nuns loved us so much that they didn't want to lose any of us, but they had no choice but to allow the social organization to find us adoptive parents. The nuns didn't want my sister and I to be apart, so they sent us to 2 families in the same town. But the god of justice must be blind as usual. Arabelle was way luckier than me. She was adopted by a wealthier family. My parents loved me anyway, but, well, she received all the best things, and that was just not fair. We went to the same school, and I was so sick of listening to her bragging. When we were at the orphanage, we used to wear the same kind of clothes, but now things were different. Arabelle always stayed in style, wearing the most beautiful clothes. So, although we are identical twin sisters, whenever we stand next to each other, she would be like a queen and I would be a maid. She easily got everything I ever wished for. Princess bed, a large window with a sea view, piano and ballet classes, and an amazing mom and dad. She talked about it all the time, and I got sick hearing it. It seemed like all of the greatest things were not enough for her. She didn't appreciate what they gave her and just always wanted more. If I were her, I would enjoy that dream life with gratitude and respect everything I got. Life was so unfair. Why did Arabelle always have the best while a girl like me was suffering from the day I was born? Adopting one part of a twin made our 2 new families close. My new family was always visiting Arabelle's big house for barbecues and nice dinners. To be honest, I did not want to go there at all. It was not a simple family meeting. It was just an event for her to show up. Her parents were so nice, and just by looking at the way they treated her, I could tell that they loved her so much. They often patted her head and called her puppy. Arabelle acted all sweet. Then, behind their backs, she said this nickname made her feel sick, as she wasn't 5. No one seemed to realize the truth. Arabelle was absolutely not as cute as they ever thought. She actually was kind of insolent. Haughty, boastful girl, and most of all, she was a fake. I remember one time when her mother's birthday party was taking place. Her mom looked stunning in that gorgeous dress, and people in the room just stayed silent for a while to show their impressing. Arabelle pretended to be cute and gave tons of compliments to her mom, but as soon as her mom turned her back on us, Arabelle whispered to me, "Look at her stupid smile. She is thinking that she really is beautiful, while everyone knows that I'm the one who looks stunning here." I was so sick of her double life. She was so lucky living that great life, but she had no appreciation for what she already had. And she was so fake. One time, I tried to unmask her true colors. I tried to tell my parents and our mutual friend about how she'd acted behind their backs. But they never believed me and just told me to stop being mean and selfish. They didn't understand a thing about her real version and even scolded me. I was the one who deserved that life, not that fake loser girl. That was when I decided to make a bigger plan. I wanted to replace Arabelle and live her life. I started staring at her work and copied her handwriting. I practiced imitating her voice. We sounded pretty similar, so this was easy. I secretly followed her and her lame friends at school so that I could learn all about their hobbies and habits. But my family was not as wealthy as theirs. I could only stand outside the restaurant, the clothing store, or the cinema. Watching Arabelle enjoy the good life just made my determination grow. When our families met up, I made an effort to get to know her parents more. Her mom likes playing the piano, and her dad likes taking care of his bonsai trees. Her mom can't eat seafood, and her dad is allergic to peanut butter. I jotted down every little detail about her life in my planning book. There were a lot of things I needed to learn until I was fully confident that I could become a second Arabelle and successfully replace her. But then something suddenly happened that made me speed up my plan. This boy called Milo I liked at school started flirting with my sister. And she flirted back. She knew I liked him, but this didn't stop her from agreeing to go on a date with him. She was such a demon. At this point, I couldn't stand her walking around and stealing all the best things I've ever wanted in my life. I had a plan. Back when I was in the orphanage, there was a man who often came to us and said impolitely to the nuns that they should sell him some children to solve their financial worries. Of course, the nuns refused him and kicked him out. He continued to come over a couple of times, and once he gave us his phone number, saying that if any of us got into trouble, we could find him. Then the nun showed up and threatened to call the cops. Well, that was the last time I saw him. I always kept that number because I knew there would be a day I would need it, and that day finally came. I called him, and we came up with a plan to solve my Arabelle issue. He sent her an anonymous message telling her to come to a secluded corner in the park to find out some juicy gossip about Milo. Of course, my nosy sister agreed. The man promised my sister would be sent to another place to work to help him earn money, and she wouldn't be harmed. I left a letter at home saying I'd had enough of the poor life and I'd found a better place to go. I told my parents not to be sad and not to look for me. I hid in a corner of the park and waited for my sister to appear. Then, when they took her, I could easily hop into her life and replace her. There would be no more Kirsty anymore, as I would perfectly be back as Arabelle. Well, the better version of her. Suddenly, I saw a black car stop in the distance. 2 tattooed guys got out of the car. I could see guns in their back. They stopped for a moment to wet a hanky with some liquid thing. This didn't feel right. I knew that this was going way too far. They would hurt my sister, and I was the one who was participating in this sin, and I knew that I would live in guilt for the rest of my life if I ever let it happen. I immediately ran out from where I was hiding, grabbed my sister's hand, and pulled her away. I heard their footsteps right behind us, so I ran as fast as possible to the crowd of people and screamed loudly at the same time to let people around pay attention to us. The other 2 men probably gave up when we ran into the crowd. After we got back to her home, I told her that I happened to be walking past and overheard the guys saying they were going to kidnap her. Then I just ran to reach her as fast as possible without thinking. She hugged me and thanked me for saving her life. She said that she always thought that I didn't like her, and she used to feel that way about me, too. Wow. That moment she came clear that she used to think that I was just a gross, dirty girl and didn't deserve to be around her, and she from time to time tried to pretend herself in front of me just to make me jealous. She was so sorry for her selfish mind and promised to change her character for me. I also told her that sometimes I became so mean because of envy, but facing this dangerous situation made me realize how much she means to me, and I will not let jealousy blind me anymore. Turns out, living a great life was that simple. We just need to talk straight and openly with each other to solve the problems between us. As for my parents, they read the letter I left them and got upset. We had a good talk, and I realized I was being the ungrateful one. Yes, so they didn't have as much money as Arabelle's family did, but they were good people who cared about me. Arabelle hadn't been the only selfish one. I'd been selfish too. Life's good, and Arabelle and I are getting on better than ever. Still, the guilt from what I planned eats me up. Should I come clean about what really happened, or should I keep it a secret and carry on like normal? I mean, it's not like anyone was hurt, right?
Okay. So, yun yung short story, no. Nakita natin kagad, no. Ilang minutes lang yan. It's just a 7-minute video. Nandun na yung buong story ng twins, no? So, who are the characters of the story? Sige nga. Anyone from the group?
Sa Arabelle.
Okay, yung dalawa, no? Si Arabelle at yung kanyang kapatid na from the very beginning, twin sila, talagang nagkaroon sila ng problem. 'Di ba? So, bago natin i-dissect yung pinaka-story ng video na yun, kasi mamaya, we will be talking about stories, no? Makikita natin na sobrang ikli niya in comparison to novela and novel. Kasi yung novela and novel, they are exactly longer than a usual short story. So doon kasi sila nagkakaiba-iba. Fiction is a story kasi. Fiction as a whole, talagang story siya. Okay? Product of author's imagination. Yun nga lang, dahil sa pwedeng mahabang mas mahaba pa. So hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na story lang siya. So kaya ipinanganak yung sumunod na type, which is the novela. Okay. Kung mapapansin niyo, ayan, novela is a shorter version of a novel, no? Pero masyado siyang mahaba. No, it is longer than a short story but shorter than a novel. Masyado siyang mahaba para maging short story, pero masyado siyang maikli para maging isang novel. Okay. So the number of words ranges from 17,500 to 39,999 words. Kung titignan nyo, class, yung kanina na short story, naaalala nyo ba kung ilang words lang siya?
7,500.
Okay, 7,500. So, nasaan yung 7,500 hanggang 17,499? Siya yung tinawag nating novelette. Okay? Siya yung novelette. Okay? Siya yung in the middle of a short story and a novela. No? Hindi lang siya sinama sa three major forms. Yung three major forms kasi pinag-uusapan natin. So, yung novelette, no? Dati kasi kino-consider na short story hanggang 17,499. Pero kasi masyado nang mahaba. So, pinanganak si novelette. Okay? So, ngayon, si novela, pinag-uusapan natin, this is the shorter version of a novel. So, nakikita nyo to dito sa Pilipinas. Meron to sa Pilipinas, novela. Okay? Actually, may mga naririnig ka tayo telenovela, diba? Mga sinasabing gano'n. Kasi hindi siya pwedeng maging novel. Masyado siyang maikli para maging novel. So, isa dito ay yung yan. Sobrang sikat niyan. Magkakaroon ulit ng bagong movie niyan. Narnia, The Lion. Yung Narnia na The Lion, The Witch, and The Wardrobe. Kasi tatlo yata yan eh. Tatlong installment yan. Itong The Lion, The Witch, and The Wardrobe is 38,421 words. So, it is considered as a fiction under novela. Okay? So, novela siya. Alright? So, akala natin novel yan. Hindi lahat nakakala natin novel ay novel talaga. Yung iba, novela kasi hindi sila umabot sa quota ng number of words. Ayan. A Christmas Carol. Sikat din yan, no? Parang si Jim Carrey yata yung nag-play ng role nito. A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens ang sumunod. Po? Yes, CJ? Hindi lang siya nakamute. Right. Okay. Si A Christmas Carol is 28,912 words. So, doon kasi tayo nakabase. No? Doon tayo magbabase kapag nag-distinguish tayo ng iba't ibang fictions, no? Fictional stories. So, 28,912 si A Christmas Carol. Ito pa. Sigurado ako nagbabasa kayo nito. Okay. I know some of you have read Precious Hearts romances. Okay. So, yung karamihan ng pocketbook nila, hindi ko nila lahat kasi may mga nakikita akong mahahaba silang pocketbook eh. So, hindi na ako sure right now. Pero yung mga maiikli, yung mga maninipes, no? It goes goes under the classification of novela. Kasi hindi naman sila umaabot ng ng more than 17,500 40,000 words. You know? Although yung mga Wattpad natin na mga novels talaga yun kasi masyadong mahaba, yung may mga umaabot ng 90,000 words. So, yun, ibang classification naman yun. So, ito, yung in-example ko sa inyo right now, yan, personal kong nabasa yan. Okay? Ayan, friend ko nga yata sa Facebook yung author nito. Kasi, nag-evolve ang Precious Hearts romances from a story of romance lang. Kasi dati kasi romance na talagang ang daming twist. Tapos, if you still remember, talagang, di ba sabi ko sa inyo, nung nasa history pa lang tayo ng literature, matatapang ang mga author before. So, kaya pag sinabing, ewan ko kung narinig niyo siya, si Martha Cecilia. Pag sinabing Martha Cecilia, talagang vocal yon sa pagsusulat ng mga stories. Talagang isinusulat niya. Kung merong nudity, isusulat niya yung nudity doon. So kung nakapagbasa kayo ng gano'n. Pero nag-evolve kasi siya in the 21st century. Nagkaroon ng konting educational click. So, tingnan nyo itong tatlong pocketbook na to. This is a good example. The Playboy Millionaires, diba? Kung titingnan nyo yung mga pangalan, diba sabi niya, In Love with Cash, Precious Moments with Price, Playing with Stock. Guys, yung pangalan ng mga tao na yan, yung mga bida dyan, ay Cash, Price, Stock. Kasi tungkol sa business, yung pocketbook niya. So, mga may-ari, ayan, nakalagay naman ng mga profile nila. So, very artistic. So, mamaya kasi, kaya ako tinakil yun, meron kasi tayong mga elements, may mga literary devices, may mga literary techniques na ginagamit to catch the attention of the reader. Okay? To make them more, to make your story more engaging in the part of the readers. Hey! Ngayon, kapag masyado na siyang mahaba, lalabas siyang novel. Okay? Saka lang siya magiging novel. Ayan, sige nga. Can you please read, Kenji? Kenji?
Sure, sir.
Okay. Please read it next. Ayan.
It is a long personal narrative that deals with human experience through a relative sequence of events that is known to be complex. It has 40,000 and about word count.
Okay, very good. So usually class pag novel, it is composed of so many complexities. It has a complex story. It has a series of conflicts. Kasi sa short story, when you deal with conflict, isa lang siya. Okay? Isang conflict lang siya. 1 or 2 is enough for a short story. Pagdating kay novela, 1 to 4 siguro. Pero pagdating kay novel, ang dami ng conflict, di ba? Hindi naubusan ng problema yung main character. So, may mga namatay, nabuhay, tapos nagiganti, tapos umabot na sa point na nagkaroon ng crime, di ba? So, there's a plenty of conflicts and complexities when we talk about novels. Some examples of novels are Maze Runner. Actually, for 4 na installment pa nga ito. The Maze Runner, The Scorched Trials, The Death Cure, and The Kill Order. Sinubaybayan ng maraming tao yung novel na yan. So, maganda yan. And then ito. Ewan ko kung napanood niyo yung movie nito, yung The Fault in Our Stars. Isa sa mga...
Maganda yan, sir. Maganda.
Yes, maganda talaga ito. Ako din, personally, hindi ko na-predict yung mangyayari sa dulo. I thought it was a cliche because hindi ko naman nabasa
Ako din, sir.
I thought it was a cliche na mamamatay yung may sakit, ganyan. So, hindi pala. So, hindi ko kayo i-spoil. So, this is the number 1 New York Times bestseller with may literary adaptation. Yan, jargon na natin yan. Alam niyo na kung ano ibig sabihin ng literary adaptation. galing sa book, galing sa literary piece, tapos naging digitalized, no? Na digitalize like this, naging movie. Okay. Another, dito naman sa Pilipinas, nakakabasa na pala ako by Bob Ong. Okay. One of the best-selling novels of Bob Ong. Yan. So, ewan ko kung meron kayong mga collections ni Bob Ong kasi dumating sa point dati na talagang ang daming nangolekta.
Isa.
Oo, yung mga MacArthur, yung mga ganyan. Yung bakit baliktad magbasa ang mga Pilipino, ayan. Ang daming contribution ni Bob Ong. Pero according to many people, hindi ko sure kasi hindi ako nakapagbasa kanina ng background ni Bob Ong. Parang si Bob Ong ay hindi lang isang tao, no? I'm not sure. I'll search later kung talagang gano'n. Then I'll update you. Pero I've heard na si Bob Ong hindi lang siya isang tao. Diba? It's a pen name, Bob Ong. Okay. Kasi nauso dati yung Bob Ong Pinoy. So when you read it, it's Bob Ong because there's a space. Diba? Pero read it straightly. Diba? Dati, yun yung nauso. Kaya talagang sobrang sikat ni Bob Ong ang husay ng kanyang mga art products, tong mga libro niya. Sobrang bukod sa it tackles society, it depicts reality. No? So, yeah. And then, of course, hindi mawawala. No? Hindi mawawala sa usapan natin. 6 na weeks na tayong nag-uusap. So, yung mga novels na nauso in the 21st century, mga libro mula sa Wattpad, na pinablish ng PSICOM, PSICOM, at ng Viva, mga pinablish na mga books. Yan. So, usually, yung mga words yan, sinearch ko nga actually yung She's Dating the Gangster, akala ko sa novela siya papasok eh. But it has 90,000 words yata or more yung estimation ng mga words niya. So sobrang dami. So kasi ilang chapters yan kung naabutan niyo sa Wattpad before. At kung may soft copy kayo. So mga kriminal may soft copy. So dati kasi nauso yung mga ka-copy paste mo from Wattpad kasi when you do Wattpad before, pag nag-read ka ng Wattpad, you need load. Diba? Kailangan mo mag-load para ma-browse mo si Wattpad. Tapos, magda-download ka doon, pwede mo siyang i-read offline afterwards. So, may mga hindi compatible ang cellphone before. So, what they did was, nag-antay sila ng soft copy. Nauso kasi yung nagbibigay si author ng soft copy ng mga gawa nila. Nawala lang yung pagbibigay ng soft copy noong pumasok si PSICOM. Kasi si PSICOM, nagkaroon na siya ng kumbaga naging standard na may, pag maganda yung story mo, pwedeng ma-publish. So wala nang nagbibigay ng soft copy. Kasi pwedeng makuha ng publishing company. Yan. Alright, so that is the 3 major forms. Now, ngayong alam na natin yung 3 major forms, sabi ko sa inyo, yung mga forms na yun, class, ay direktang mga stories lahat yan. Lahat yan may storya. Lahat yan, may mga kwento, may mga characters yan, nagkakaiba lang sa number of words, sa number of conflicts, pero class, lahat sila may story. Kaya pag sinabi natin elements of a fiction, alam nyo na ito. Kasi ang dami nyo ng book report na ginawa. Mula nung grade 7 pa lang kayo, grade school pa lang kayo, gumagawa na kayo ng book report, pumunta pa nga kayo sa library. Diba? So, pag-aralan ulit natin yung elements of a fiction. Una doon is yung setting. Alright? So, can you please read what a setting is? John Mark Punan. John Mark? Can you please read?
These elements includes the place and the time of the actions that happen in a story. The The time may be in previous years or decades in that present period or even sometimes in the future.
Okay,
Okay
very
na po.
good. So, pag sinabi mong setting, saan at kailan nangyari? Okay? Saan at kailan nangyari yun, no? Kapag sa short story, konti lang ilagay mo dyan sa setting, okay na. Kasi short story siya eh. There's one person in your batch, no? Ngayong 20, ito, pag, ngayon, estudyante ko pa rin siya. May nagtanong siya sa akin, so napakaganda ng tanong niya. Ang sabi niya sa akin, Sir, paano po ba gumawa ng magandang story? Kasi daw nagbasa siya ng stories, yun, di ba kasi nagkaroon tayo ng usapan before regarding published work sa Wattpad, sa mga website, sa mga blogs, ganyan. So, he tried looking into the story dun sa profile ko doon. So, binasa niya raw yun, ganyan. Sabi niya, paano daw gumawa ng magandang story? So, ito yung sagot. So, una, syempre, you need to think of the setting. Okay? Dapat yung utak mo nasa, kumbaga, alam mo na kung fiction yan, fiction siya, wag mo na muna isipin kung dapat ba maganda yung setting
Yung
ganyan.
dialogue.
Oo, ang isipin mo kagad ay paano mo ba siya gustong mangyari? Gusto mo bang mangyari siya in a different place na para bang yung place na yon ay ikaw lang ang may gawa, 'di ba? Parang ikaw lang yung parang gumawa ka ng different earth. You made a different kind of Philippines, halimbawa. Hindi nagdepict ng reality na ang Philippines ganito, may Quiapo, may ganyan, pero ikaw hindi. So it's up to you. Alamin mo muna ano yung setting na gusto mo. Anong lugar? Totoong lugar ba na nakita mo o lugar na made from your imagination? Tapos sasabihan mo ng pangalan na galing lang din sa imagination mo. Okay. In my part, gusto ko ako yung may gawa ng lugar. Kasi that's the challenge. How will you let the readers portray what's on your mind? Dapat ma-picture din nila. Pag binasa nila yung story mo, napipicture out nila sa utak nila, ayun ang ganun yung mundo nila. Ganun yung itsura ng mundo nila. No? And that's where good authors are successful in making a different setting. Kasi, when you, as a reader, you'll get interested kapag your imagination works also as you read. Diba? So, maganda rin naman yung totoong setting. I'm not saying na pangit yung parang setting mo sa Boracay, ganyan, setting mo sa totoong school setting. Maganda rin yun. It depicts reality kasi. So, parang pwede kang pumunta dun sa lugar na yun. Diba? Para mag-reminisce lang nabasa mo. So, maganda rin yun. So, my point is, you have to tell yourself or decide, ano bang setting ang gusto mo? Is it a fictional setting, just made up of your imagination, or a setting that is already there, existing? Alright? So, that is what we call setting. That's number 1. Okay? So, number 2 tayo. Sige nga. Let's go to the characters. No? It refers to the persons or any entity involved in the circumstances and actions in a story. Okay. So, this in this part, class, yung characters kasi, alam lang natin, bida tsaka kontrabida. Diba? Usually, bida kontrabida ang ating naaalala when we talk about characters. Pero hindi natin alam na si bida, pwede pa siyang maging ibang uri ng character. Okay? Pwede siyang magkaroon ng ibang type ng character. So, yun yung isa sa mga bagay na dapat nating maalala. Okay? That there are different kinds of characters. Okay? May types of characters tayo. Okay. So, before anything else, bago ako magsabi kung ano yung mga types ng characters, let me ask you, have you watched, ano bang magandang example? So, ayun, napanood yun na ba yung, sige, mag-Korean naman tayo. Startup. Anyone who watched Startup?
Ako po, sir.
Okay, si Aya. Okay. Bri, napanood mo ba or no? No idea at all.
Idea po, sir.
CJ?
Sino si CJ, sir?
Dalawa pala sila. Acosta,
Sir, wala, sir.
Lasika,
Wala po, sir.
Punay,
Wala din po, sir.
Kenji,
Wala rin po, sir.
Marcy.
Bakit ka lang sa Facebook, sir?
Okay, now I'm going to give you a spoiler. Char, hindi spoiler. Ano, bibigyan ko kayo ng bibigyan ko kayo ng video, papanoorin ko kayo ng isang video, tapos it will tell about the characters. Kasi mamaya it's very important para mas makita ninyo ano ang itsura ng mga characters, no? Paano magiging itsura. Wait a minute.
Sir,
Pinapanood
ito po ba yung ID niyo, sir?
Yes.
Ito po ba yung ID niyo nakaraan, sir? Yung pala yun.
Yes.
Pinapanood niya, sir?
Oo naman, syempre.
Oh my God.
Antay tayo
Siya
sa
lang
ano.
nililik.
Okay. Ano tayo? Team Dosan tayo. Okay, sige kasi nakita ko siyang magandang example. I-play ko lang yung video. Where is it? There. Wait lang Gusto kong tignan nyo kasi yung iba hindi familiar sa kanila. But there's this video kasi na magandang ipalabas. doon sa video na yan, sinabi na yung different, ay, yung sinabi ko na. So, meron tayong, kagad na nakitang comparison between the two characters. No? Hindi pinakita yung isang character kasi yung isa, heroine siya, yung isa. So, hindi ko muna pinakita yung heroine. Kasi we will use it for another example. So, balik tayo dito. Ayan. So, a quick recap lang, no? A quick information lang regarding that is it's an actually medyo may pagka-educational yung startup na yon, yung drama na yun. It's because of it's knowledge, yung knowledge na binibigay nila for business men, aspiring businessmen. So, may mga characters tayo doon na it's ang naging foundation niya from the very beginning is white lie. So, parang nagsinungaling kasi there's this set of letters na naging ugat ng lahat. So, ayan. Ngayon, it will be a good example for this. Kasi merong mga literary techniques na ginamit doon. So, una sa lahat, yung dalawang lalaki na nakita ninyo, plus yung babae sa una, they are the protagonists of the story. Mga protagonists sila, walang antagonist doon. Although, may rivalry na nagaganap, kita-kita naman dun sa video, both of them, or all of them, are protagonists of the story. So, what is a protagonist? Okay. Can you please read, Aya?
The protagonist is the central figure around whom the story revolves. Throughout the story, we will watch him or her or them face conflict that must be resolved and make key decisions that move the story forward. Protagonists are often heroic, like Katniss, but they don't have to be.
Okay. So, tama yan. Hindi lahat ng, protagonist or bida ang tawag doon. Hindi lahat ng bida or protagonist ay mga may mga superpowers, no? No, hindi sila often heroic. Minsan sila yung mga naaapi. Yan, mga ganyan. So, yan yung protagonist natin. So, basta siya yung bida ng story. At of course, pag may protagonist, meron din antagonist. Pag sinabi natin antagonist, it is the person or nature that stands in the way of, or it antagonizes whatever the main character is trying to achieve. Okay? Ngayon, class, hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon na yung antagonist ay tao. Sometimes it is the nature. It can be the nature. It can be the society. It can be any intangible matter. No? Any intangible matter that contends with or creates a problem for the protagonist. So, dito kasi sa kaninang pinanood ko sa inyo, ang antagonist doon, hindi lang doon sa Actually, pag pinanood nyo siya, hindi mo makita kung sino yung kontrabida. Kasi even the person who looks kontrabida, merong inner conflict. Okay? It's another type of character. So, hindi siya antagonistic, no? Hindi siya yung nagko-cause ng problem. Rather, masama lang siguro yung ugali niya, pero hindi siya yung direktang nagiging kontrabida, no? Rather, they become, also an antagonist of the story. Ngayon, class, dun sa pinanood ko kanina sa inyo, the antagonist there is the nature. It's the society. Kasi they are fighting for their survival for their business. So ang kalaban nila doon exactly ay society, no? It's the survival of the fittest. So ang antagonist pwedeng society, pwedeng nature, no? O kahit anong intangible matter. Kasi baka akala nyo, pag sinabing antagonist character, tao na yun. Tao na lagi yun. Okay, so hindi. So minsan, ang antagonist ay kung ano yung nangyayari sa society that causes the problem. Alright. So, eto na yung iba pa. Dynamic character, no? This character goes through significant changes in personality, behavior, perspective, etc. As the story develops. So, ang dynamic character, pwedeng maging dynamic character. Ang two main types kasi, protagonist and antagonist talaga. Yan talaga ang two main types. Itong susunod na apat na sasabihin ko sa inyo, class, ito ay pwedeng ma-accompany sa mga characters sa two main types. So, halimbawa, pwedeng maging dynamic character ang protagonist kasi pwedeng na-develop yung personality niya, pwedeng yung behavior niya nag-change. So, automatically, pag sinabi mong dynamic, nagbabago. Okay? Tapos, meron din tayong tinatawag na static. So, static or flat character is a character who remains the same from beginning to end of the story. Usually, ito yung tinatawag natin ba sa na sila yung tatay, nanay, tagapayo, ganyan, mga kaibigan, 'di ba? So, merong mga character na parang from the beginning to end, sila na yon. Hindi sila nagbago, so no changes happen to them. Hindi sila mga extra class, ha. Hindi sila tinatawag na extra kasi ayokong makasanayan ninyo na tinatawag niyo yung mga mga iba na sila ay mga extra, no? Hindi ganoon 'yon. So hindi sila extra. Rather, they should sila mga static character, mga flat character. Okay? Ibig sabihin, no changes happen to them from beginning to end of the story. Yun ang label sa kanila. Okay? Sila kasi yung mga peripheral characters. Okay? So, pag peripheral characters, sila yung characters other than the antagonist and the protagonist. Okay. So, yan na. Sana natuto. Then, meron tayong tinatawag na round character, no? Someone with a complex personality, no? They act inconsistently rather than follow a smooth arc. Okay. Bigyan kayo ng example. Sa Pilipinas na lang para makarelate kayo. Halimbawa, Encantadia, for example. Si Pirena doon, hindi siya si Pirena doon, 'di ba? Complex personality. Hindi siya antagonist. Hindi siya antagonist. Rather siya? Round character siya. Ibig sabihin complex siya, no? From being round character to being protagonist sa dulo. Kaya somewhere deep down, they're most likely conflicted. So, sila yung mga characters na, sungit-sungit. Ito pa, siguro makaka-relate kayo. Isa pang round character, pero protagonist din. Si Go Junpyo, si Dao Min-soo sa, sa Boys Over Flowers and Mutual Garden. Complex yung personality nila, di ba? Sila, ito pa, baka makarelate pa kayo. Si Kenji sa Talk Back in Your sa She's Dating the Gangster. So, complex yung personality nila. Tapos, meron din tayong tinatawag na anti-hero. Okay? So, yung anti-hero, pwede siyang maging main character o hindi porke anti-hero yan. May hero, kontrabida yan, ha? Mali kayo. Anti-hero is a protagonist. It is a type of a protagonist that does not have the qualities of being a hero or being a protagonist. So parang yan bida siya pero wala siyang quality ng pagiging bida or kulang siya ng quality ng pagiging bida. A good example, yung pinanood natin kanina sa startup, yung lalaki doon, bida siya, protagonist siya, pero yung character niya, palpak. May pagka mahina sa business. At tungkol sa business yung movie, tas ang hina mo sa business. So, anti-hero. So, stereotypical qualities, wala siyang stereotypical qualities inherent to a hero. Pag sinabi mo kasing stereotypical qualities, yan yung, halimbawa, pag sinabi yung bida, mabait yan, magaling yan, mahusay yan, may qualities yan na ganito. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na stereotypical qualities. So, ang isang protagonist ay anti-hero or anti-hero kapag hindi niya napoposes yung quality ng isang bida talaga. O, isa pa. Doon naman tayo sa mga anime lovers. So, tatry ko. Medyo oldies kasi ako, diba? So, si Eugene, for example, ng Ghost Fighter. Si Eugene ay, may alam natin yun, from the very beginning, before he learned whatever powers na meron siya, Eugene is actually sakit sa ulo. Diba? Ayaw nga sa kay nanay niya, nagagalit niya yung nanay niya sa kanya, diba? Tapos hanggang sa namatay siya kasi niligtas siyang bata. Pero from the very beginning, talagang si Eugene, mahina. Hindi naman siya mahina, pero para siyang gangster, parang ganun. Diba? Si Sakuragi ng Slam Dunk, basketball ang team, right? Ng
Yes, sir.
Pero di marunong
Yes,
mag-basketball.
very good. Para di marunong mag-basketball. Anti-hero siya.
Natuturo
Protagonist.
siya, sir.
Sina?
Natuturo po siya.
Natuturo
Natuturo
siya.
siya.
So, ang tawag sa kanya, protagonist na siya, anti-hero na siya, at the same time, ano yung nagbabago? Dynamic. So, yung characters natin doesn't have to be protagonist only. Sometimes, it is composed of different types of characters. Pinagsasama-sama. Okay. And then, syempre, meron tayong foil. Yung foil, automatic to. Kung ang anti-hero ay para sa protagonist, ang foil ay para kay antagonist. Bakit? Si foil kasi yung pero hindi lahat ng foil antagonist. Baka akalain nyo kasi lahat ng foil antagonist. Sila lang yung mga characters na ipinanganak sa mundo ng story na yun para maging exact opposite ng isa pa. Okay? So parang halimbawa, good character. Siyempre may lalabas na bad character. Yung exactly opposite ng isang character. Pero 'di ba merong mga movies naman na although they have different attitude, they have different stand, they are contrasting, 'di ba? Pareho pa rin naman silang bida, 'di ba? Sino ba ang magandang magandang example? Kadenang Ginto. Kadenang Ginto. Para makaka-relate kayo. So doon si Romina stood up as the protagonist while yung isa si Daniela she was the antagonist from the beginning. Pero sa dulo, 'di ba, parang hindi naman sila naging talagang mag-aaway na mag-aaway. They ended up peacefully. So hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon si foil ay magiging antagonist. May mga time na si foil, they're just there to be annoying. No? Nalikha lang sila to give flavor to the story. So, ganun siya. So, foil. Okay. So, meron tayong iba't ibang types ng characters. We have protagonist, antagonist, dynamic, flat, round, anti-hero, and foil. So, pito sila lahat. Tama ba? 7, 8. Diba? Hindi ko binilang. Okay. So, may 7. Okay. There are 7 types of characters. Ayan. So, may tanong ba kayo? Guluhan ba kayo sa types of characters? Kasi sooner or later, pag gumawa na kayo ng story, gagamitin nyo siya. Ayan. Okay. So, let's move on. Ngayon, punta na tayo kay plots. Siyempre, isa sa mga pinaka dapat nating inaalam ay yung tinatawag natin na plot. Kasi, a fiction will not be a fiction kapag walang story. Because plot, ayan, sige nga, can you please read, Marcy?
A plot is the actual story. It is what the story is all about. It is also the series of events and characters' actions that lead to the highest point of interest in a short story.
Okay, very good. Si plot yung story. So, paano ka mag-fiction kung ang hawak mo lang character tsaka setting? Oh, edi iyak ka na lang, di ba? So, dapat may plot. So, ito yung mga elements ha. Ang una nating pinag-aralan na elements ay ano yan? Setting. Tapos, character. Ito na yung pangatlo. Plot. Okay? So, a plot is the actual story. Ngayon, class, meron akong hinandang video, no? Series of video siya. Anyone of you who watch Lion King? May nakapanood?
Nalimutan na.
Okay, nalimutan.
Nalimutan na, sir.
So, papaalala ko yun. Kasi gagamitin natin siya. Sa plot kasi class, meron din tayong tinatawag na mga na plot structure. So, ang plot structure natin parang bundok. Okay? So, it starts with exposition. And then, it goes to a rising action. Na nakikita nyo ngayon dito. Ayan. Yung pataas na yan. That's the rising action. Tapos, yung pinakatuktok, yung cone, that is the climax. Tapos, bababa siya. That is the falling action. And then, the ending will be the resolution. Okay? So, ang isa lang yung gagamitin nating example kasi para tuloy-tuloy makita nyo yung exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Kasi siya yung na-dissect ko. So, let's see. Okay. Let's start with exposition. Okay. Exposition. Please read Lasika.
The mood and the condition existing at the beginning of the story. A setting is identified, the main characters and their position, circumstances and relationship to one another are
Established.
established.
Okay. Very good. So, dito sa part na to, papakita nyo na beginning lagi. Ito yung beginning of the story. Kaya nga siya naka-flat, di ba? Diba? Pag ganun siya. So, exposition. Exposition contains the setting. So, magsiset na siya ng mood na, dito kami dito ang ano nito ha. Ganito itsura nito ha. Sisimulan na namin to sa ganito ha. So, tingnan natin kung paano sinimula ng Lion King ang kanila. I've gathered the 2019 version. Kasi 21st tayo. So, hindi ko ginamit yung cartoons kasi 1990 something pa yun. Para maganda na animation nun, ha? Maganda na yung animation nun. Okay, so let's see. So, movie time. Of the movie or the literary piece, The Lion King. So, dun pa lang, no? Sige, tanungin ko kayo. Napakita ba doon yung setting ng story?
Opo, sir.
Okay, nandoon. So, where is the setting of the story? Saan ang setting ng story? Base sa exposition ng dito sa exposition part ng The Lion King. Sige nga. Aya.
Sir,
Saan ang ang setting?
Savannah, sir.
Sa?
Savannah.
Okay, or sa mas maikling term or mas maikling description, it is the setting happened in jungle, 'di ba? Si jungle. And the characters seem to be the animals. No, hindi seem to be. Animals talaga. 'Di ba? Animals ang mga characters niya. So, na-introhan kagad. Pinakita kagad yung King Lion, yung isa kasi magkakaroon yan mamaya sa sumunod na mga videos. Makikita natin kung ano mga nangyari. So, pinakita kagad si Mufasa, Pinakita kagad yung nanay ni Simba. Si Simba yung maliit, di ba? Pinakita yung parang shaman na, kalimutan ko yung pangalan, yung monkey doon, no? Ang laki ng role niya. So, pinakita yung mga animals. So, ngayon, alam kagad natin, no exposition pa lang, na-set na kagad yung mood nung stage or nung, kumbaga sa drama, na-set yung mood nung stage, di ba? Dito, na-set yung mood nung using the setting. Okay. Tapos, we go now to the rising action. It is the series of events. Dito pumunta yung conflict. So kasi, pag sinabi natin conflict, dapat meron yun. Kasi yun yung magbibigay ng lasa, kumbaga sa pagkain. Magkakaroon ng lasa yung story. So magkakaroon ng buhay yung story kapag may conflict, no? Kasi it crisis in the story that lead up to the climax. It provides the progressive intensity and complicate the conflict. Kaya nga siya pataas, di ba? Exposition, tapos biglang tumaas. So si Rising Action, dala-dala ni Rising Action, lahat ng conflict sa story mo, nandun siya. Okay? So, let's see. Okay, as a background, merong kapatid si Mufasa. Si Mufasa yung kaninang malaking lion. Eto si Simba, nakikita nyo ngayon sa screen. May kapatid siya. Ang pangalan ay Scar. Si Scar ay gustong maging hari ng jungle. But Mufasa took over. Kasi mas magaling niya siyang pinuno. So sa inggit niya, gusto niya siya yung maging hari, may ipinanganak na bagong hahalili kay Mufasa. At ito nga yun si Simba. Ngayon pinagbalaka niya ng masama si Simba. Okay? At ito yung nangyari. Okay, so yan yung tapos na yan. Yan yung isa sa mga conflict, no? Kasi nagkaroon ng stampede. So, ang totoo niyan, ang nag-cause ng stampede ay si yung nasa taas na lion, yung masama, si Scar. Okay. So, yun yung naging rising action niya. Kasi yung part na yan, di ba umaakit kasi wala yung video na cut pala dyan. Yung umaakit na part na yan, si Mufasa, siya yung Lion King at the moment, ipapasa niya ngayong corona dun sa anak niya yon, si Simba. Nandyan si Scar sa taas. So, hindi niya tinulungan si Mufasa, hinulog niya dyan, kaya namatay. Namatay ang Lion King na yan. At sinisi ni Simba yung sarili niya sa nangyari sa tatay niya, kaya hindi siya bumalik sa jungle. Kaya napunta yung corona ng pagiging Lion King kay Scar, yung kalaban na isa. That is the rising action. Okay. Dun nag-ugat lahat ng conflict. Ilang taong namuno si Scar, no? Kasi si Scar nung namuno siya, nauso yung kumbaga sa atin, diba may mga corrupt, parang ganon, sa totoong buhay. Sa Lion King naman, ang counterpart niya, predation. Predation. Pag sinabi mong predation, pinapaboran ni Scar na ang maging pagkain nila ay yung mga animals din sa forest. Mga meat sa forest. So, pumapatay sila ng mga hayop para maging pagkain nila. So, si Lion King kasi, itong si Mufasa, hindi niya inaalaw yun. Okay? Ginagawa niya herbivores lahat. No? So, as much as possible, ang kinakain nila dapat ay mga halaman or gulay, mga ganun. So, hindi sila papatay ng mga kapwa nila hayop. Kasi yung jungle nga, di ba? Circle of life. Yan. So, isa pa pala, hindi naman sa, may mga moment din na kumakain din sila ng meat, ha? Baka may sabihin niya, sobrang bait nito ni mo. Hindi. Kailangan nila yun. Kaya nga yung kanta kanina ay Circle of Life. Circle of Life. Diba? Ganun naman talaga ang Circle of Life. Paikot-ikot. So, may cycle. Kinuwento din yan dyan sa story ng Lion King. May isang part dyan, in-educate ni Mufasa yung anak niya tungkol doon. Kasi yung anak niya, ayaw niya kumain ng kapwa niya hayop. So, ganun. Pero nung kasi kay Scar, sagaran. Sagad-sagad. Okay. So, ayan. Tapos, meron tayong tinatawag na climax. Ayan. Sige nga, pakibasa muna, Bri. Climax.
The turning point of the story, a crucial event takes place, and from this point forward, the protagonist moves toward his inevitable end. The event may be either an action or a mental decision that the protagonist makes.
Okay, very good. So, turning point of the story. So, climax is the exciting part of the story. Kaya natin yung exciting part ng story ng The Lion King. So, ito talaga yung climax niya. No? Noong panahon na
You are nothing compared to Mufasa.
that is Simba.
You're alive?
Simba, I'm so happy. You see, they think I'm king.
Scar. Simba is the rightful king.
The choice is yours, Scar. Step down or fight. Less of the death of a family member. To feel the shame. Do your faithful subjects know what you've done?
What is he talking about?
Now's your chance to confess. It was me.
It's
Sorry. He admits it. Murderer who takes the life of a father? We should believe a son who takes the life of a king? Are you the king?
No, I'm...
Are you the king?
No!
I remember. This is the way Mufasa looked. Fear in his eyes.
Yan.
My father! Leave his lies!
Scar, you told us you didn't get to the gorge in time.
Murderer!
Attack!
We lost them. That was terrifying.
It's also a friend.
Did you hear a low growl? Chubby. Chubby? Did he just call me run from hyenas? But I will always fight a bully!
You feel better, Pumbaa?
I do.
I've been waiting too. And I'm not...
It's the bird! I got him! I got him! Get that bird!
Okay. So, yan yung part, yung climax. Kinalaban na nila si Scar. So, definitely, papunta na tayo sa climax. Pag natapos ang climax, definitely, papunta na yan sa tinatawag natin na falling action. Okay? So, yung climax kanina, kinalaban na nila si Scar. Yung falling action is the events occurring from time of the climax of at the end of the story. No? To the end of the story, I mean. The main character may encounter more conflicts in this part of the story, but the end is inevitable. So, dito sa part na to, nung kinalaban na niya, so, pababa na tayo, no? So, sa Makunsa Mountain, pababa na tayo. Falling action na. Tapos, usually, sobrang magkasunod lang ng falling action and resolution. The tying up of loose ends, no? Kumbaga, siya na yung conclusion. Siya na yung pagtatapos talaga. And this is the ending, no? Of that literary piece, si Lion King. Ayan. Okay. most iconic scene. So, naging peaceful. Tapos, nagkaroon din sila ng anak. May naging asawa si si Simba, si Nala. If I'm not mistaken. Yun. So, nagkaroon din sila ng anak. Kaya nagkaroon ng part 2 yung Lion King sa cartoons. Yun. So, yan yung perfect example ng plot structure. So, wag natin kakalimutan that a plot structure is consisted of an exposition, a rising action, climax, a falling action, and resolution. Okay. Now, let's go to the next element of a fiction. Nag-usap tayo sa setting. Ano sunod ng setting?
Character.
Character. Tapos ng character, ano sunod?
Plot.
Plot. Tapos ng plot, ano sunod? Wala pa, ngayon pa lang. Ito yun. Conflict. Naka-differentiate kasi siya eh. Although part siya ng plot, pero it's an element ng fiction to always have a conflict. Kasi usually pag sinabi mong conflict, ayan, ang galit. Si Sir Bray. Conflict. Okay, pag may conflict, ayan, so every story needs to have a problem. And that problem is actually the conflict. Okay? The main character, also called as the protagonist, needs to have someone or something to challenge him. There should be challenges. There should be a problem. No? Sa story, dapat may problema ka. Kasi yun yung bubuhay dun. Without conflict, the story will not go anywhere. And will not be very interesting to the readers. So, dapat laging may conflict. Dapat may problema. Hindi ibig sabihin na may kontrabida, may conflict agad. Sometimes, the conflict is within the society. Or, sabi ko nga sa inyo, antagonist, hindi lang siya tao. Minsan siya ay pwedeng sarili mo sa utak. Pwedeng siya ay nature mo. Pwedeng siya ay talagang tao. No? Pwedeng supernatural. So, maraming pwede. Okay? Kaya ang conflict, may iba't iba rin type, no? So, napakadali lang ng mga conflict, no? Napakadaming, 4 lang yan. Yung una is the character versus self. When you say a conflict between the character and himself, the struggle takes place in the character's own mind. Ito yung mga time na si Bida, hindi niya alam kung sasabihin niya ba yung totoo o hindi. Usually, yung mga ganyan eh. Diba? Doon sa pinanood kong startup, kaya pinanood ko rin yun sa inyo. Kasi, may part doon na nagsisinungaling kasi sila. So, there's a battle sa mind ng, yung isang character doon, or dalawang character, may battle sila within their minds na sasabihin na ba namin yung totoo o hindi. Kasi pag sinabi namin yung totoo, pwedeng mangyari to. Pag hindi naman namin sinabi ang totoo, pwede naman mangyari to. So, ang tawag nga nila...
Parang yung kanina, sir.
Oo, yung kanina na pinanood ko sa iyo na Korean novela. Yun ay tinatawag na character versus self. Kasi
Yung animation, sir.
yung sa animation din, kanina. Oo, isa sa animation is character versus self, yung naiinggit siya. 'Di ba? Pero, gusto niyang gawa ng masama yung kapatid niya, pero hindi niya magawa kasi naglalaban yung goodness, yung good and bad sa utak niya. So, it's character versus self. That's one conflict. Ang ganda ng story mo, kapag may mga ganitong part ng story mo, yung character versus, hindi nawawala yan eh. Yung nagsinungaling, tapos gusto mo sabihin yung totoo, hindi mo masabi yung totoo, nagwa-white lies ka, di ba? So, sa story mo, maganda siyang ilagay, no? Siyempre, di nawawala yung character versus character. Yan yung human versus human. No? It's protagonist versus antagonist. So, ito talaga may taong kalaban. Okay? Ito naman kabila, character versus nature. Yung nature class, hindi ibig sabihin yung yung plants, yung trees, hindi ganun to, hindi. Yung nature dito is your environment, your current situation, your current environment, yung nasa sa inyo, that the character is struggling to survive. Okay? So, ito yung character versus nature. Like, for example, kung nakapanood kayo ng ano ba, para makarelate ang lahat. Ayun, papangako sa'yo, halimbawa pangako sa'yo, yung nitong latest, yung si Catherine Bernardo ba yun, si Daniel Padilla. So, meron dong isa, si Amor. Si Amor doon ay struggling to survive. So, character versus nature siya. Okay? Yung character, nagpursige siya, di ba? Marimar! Oo. Tingnan ko kung hindi kayo makarelate. Character versus nature siya dun sa part na yumayaman siya, gusto niyang yumaman, kasi mahirap siya eh. So, inaalipos na siya. So, hindi yung society ang pinag-aaral kasi iba yon. Ang sinasabi natin, yung way na nag-struggle siya to survive as her own. So, that is character versus nature. So, character versus self, character versus character, no? Character versus nature or your environment. Meron pa kasing isa, yung character versus society. So, ito naman, ang nilalabanan mo, ang kalaban mo, ito yung social traditions, yung rules, kasi ito yung parang Hunger Games. Diba sa Hunger Games, society kalaban mo? Kasi majority of the upper class wants the Hunger Games, yung patayan. Diba? So, society ang laban mo. Hindi naman kagad sinabi ng kontrabida doon si Snow. Hindi naman kagad sinabi ng kontrabida doon ay yung isa, yung nasa District 13 ba? O hindi ka nagkakamali. So, hindi ko na maalala eh. So, walang sinabi kung sino ang antagonist doon. Pero isang malinaw na doon, na factual information is that yung society, nilalabanan nila Katniss Everdeen. Isa pang magandang example is Divergent. Diba? They are divided into 4 types of people in a society. Tapos, lahat ng Divergent, yung pang-5, lahat ng Divergent pinapatay. It happened na itong bidang babae is a Divergent. Kaya ano nangyari? So, hinanting siya. Kasi, Divergent is one of the most powerful, should I say, most powerful type of person doon sa world na ginagalawan nung story na yun. Okay. So, character versus society. Okay. Twilight. Si Bella at ang council ng ng vampire. Di ba ayaw kay Bella kasi human siya. Right? So, character versus society. So, society ng vampire naman yung tinutukoy ko. Okay. So, yan. Ngayon, class, in making a story, it's very important for you to put into consideration the types of conflict. Lahat yan, yung 4 na yan, kung kaya nyo pagsamahin sa isang story, pagsamahin ninyo. Kasi novel yung pinapagawa ninyo. So, kung short story yan, siguro 1 or 2, okay. Pero kapag novel at saka novel yung ginagawa ninyo, I would suggest, sama nyo silang lahat. Yung 4 na conflicts na yan. Meron pang ibang conflicts, may mga nanganak pang ibang conflicts, yung may nabasa kong character versus supernatural, yung mga ganon. So, hindi na natin sinama dito yan. Dito lang tayo sa major types of conflict. Alright. Tapos, okay, tapos na tayo. Nakailan na tayo? Character, setting, character, plot, tapos conflict. Now, we're on the 5th. Theme. Okay? Pag sinabi mong theme, pag sinabing theme, it is the central idea in a short story and the general truth. Technically, ito yung significant truth na gustong sabihin ni author. So, ano ba yung gustong sabihin ni author sa mga gusto niyang audience niya? So, ito yung gustong message or gusto ipaabot na message ng author to the people or to the readers. Okay? So, theme. So, dapat may central theme kayo, no? Usually, it's the moral lesson of the story. Okay? So, nakalima na tayo. So, yung pang-anim naman ay point of view. Okay? Si point of view, ayan, marami nang nakapagbasa ng iba't ibang manga, may nakapagbasa ng mga novels, may mga nakapagbasa ng mga stories. Alam natin na minsan iniiba-iba yung point of view, no? It is the way the story is told or narrated. It is also known as the vantage point of a writer. So, this is the, paano siya inanarrate? Paano nyo, kasi alam mo na yung story, alam mo na yung setting, alam mo na yung characters. So, magtatagumpay ka na, konti na lang, magtatagumpay ka na sa story mo eh. Magagawa mo na, may theme ka na. Ang tanong, what will be the style of your writing? So, what will be your point of view? No? May apat na types. First is the first person. When you say first person, it is narrated by a character in the story. So, one of the characters of the story is narrating, no? Siya yung nagkukwento ng pinaka-story. Yan. Katulad niyan, si Colonel Lemon. Si Colonel Lemon, sabi niya, I fastened my yellow jacket and made my way to the living room. So, first person, class, no? First person siya. Bakit? Kasi, gumamit siya ng first person pronoun. Pag sinabi mong first person pronoun, yan yung I, we, us. Okay? So, parang may nagsasalita ba? May nagsasalita, may nagkukwento sa sarili niya. Okay? And ang strength niyan ay it creates greater intimacy between the reader and the main character. A first-person narrator will be inherently biased. Okay? Relatively simple to write kasi gumagamit ka lang ng I, us, diba? We, okay. So, only kapag ginamit mo kasi si first person pronoun, the exposition is limited to what the narrator knows. Tapos, a first person narrator will have and should have bias. So, nagiging bias. Bakit? Kasi nga, naka-angkla siya doon sa mismong character lang na yun. So, you are placing, pag binasa mo siya, mapiplace ka sa character na yun. So, ikaw bilang reader, tapos, ang mangyayari doon ay nakikita mo yung ginagawa lang ng isang character lang. Gets niya ba ako? So, isang character lang, kasi isang character lang yung nagkukwento. So, parang kinukwento nung character na yon using first person pronoun, yung mga nangyari sa kanya. So, that's the first person. Okay? Ang clue natin sa first person ay I, okay, my, yan. So, lahat ng pang-angkin ba? Diba? So, yan. Tapos, meron tayong tinawag na second, example. Ito ay from the Hunger Games kasi Hunger Games is in a first person point of view. So, it's this detail, the untucked blouse forming a ducktail that brings me back to myself. So, may nagkukwento. Pag tinignan nyo, mostly used to kasi yung first person. So, kung titignan ninyo, ang nagkukwento dito ay sino? Sinong character yung nagkukwento? Si Katniss, diba? Sabi niya, Prim, the strangled cry comes out of my throat and my muscles begin to move again. Prim, ulit, sinabi niya ulit. I don't need to shove through the crowd. The other kids make way immediately allowing me, so that's the clue. May salitang me. A straight path to the stage. I reach her just as she is about to mount the steps. With one sweep of my arm, I push her behind me. I volunteer. So itong scene na to, class, ito yung nagka-cast na ng magiging representative per district sa Hunger Games. Ayan. So, mga tributes ba ang tawag sa kanila. So, ayan. So, sana nakita, no? Managets kung paano. Ito yung usually na ginagamit, class, no? Pinagkukwento ni author yung isa sa mga character. Usually, the protagonist of the story, pinagkukwento. Okay, ito pa isa. Uh, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Itong kagad I give Pirip as my father's family name on the authority of his tombstone and my sister, my. So, meron na kagad. First person point of view. Yan. So, nagets yun. CJ, Marcy, Brian, Aya. Nagets tayo doon.
Yes po, sir.
Okay.
Yes po, sir.
Alright. So, let's move on to the second person, no? Second person cast the reader as the character in the story. Kung yung first person class, nagkukwento yung character. Okay, yung first person, isang character sa story nagkukwento. Siya yung nagna-narrate. Second person, yung reader ay isa sa mga character. Yung reader ay isa sa mga character. Okay? So, let me put an emphasis on that. Okay. Second person cast the reader as a character in the story. Sa Wattpad marami to. Yung POV ng reader. Na bigla kang pumunta.
Yes po, sir.
Bigla kang, eto, look at this one. You dub your bro before noticing the bloodstain on your shirt. Ikaw, bilang reader, kapag binasa mo siya, ikaw yung kinakausap nitong statement, no? You dub your bro before noticing the bloodstain on your shirt. So, anong strength nito ng second person pronoun? Even greater intimacy with the reader, no? May intimacy between you and the author and the reader. Bakit? Kasi not the author, the material and the reader. Bakit? Kasi kinakausap ka directly nung kinast ka bilang character sa mga character. Okay. Offers readers an uncommon reading experience because kinakausap ka nga niya. Ikaw yon. At gumagamit siya ng second person pronoun like you. Okay, you, Y-O-U. Okay. Your, Y-O-U-R. Alright. In contrast, no, ito yung potential pitfalls, yung mga pwedeng pwedeng pumangit dahil sa mga ito. So, mahirap siyang i-execute kasi paano kung hindi gusto, parang hindi type ng reader na maging part siya ng character. No, parang hindi niya tipelya. O halimbawa, sa Wattpad halimbawa, ang character ay babae. Babae yung kinas niya na character. So, for female readers, syempre hindi magbabasa yung male masyado. Kasi hindi niya na-feel na part siya doon, no? Mostly, no? I'm not generalizing. So, may iba na pwedeng hindi nila ma-feel na ganun maging part ng story na yun. Kaya, ayun, potential pitfalls. Many find second person tiring to read. Okay. This unusual POV may easily alienate readers. Yun yung sinasabi ko. No? Na-alienate. Kumbaga, hindi nakaka-relate. Baka kasi yung character, hindi siya relatable. Yung character na ibinigay. Pero, on the other hand, may mga successful na second person POV, ha? Ano lang, yung mga sinabi ko kanina, those are the pitfalls, no? Potential pitfalls na kailangang iwasan kapag sumusulat ka in a manner of second person point of view. Okay. So, let's take a look at some examples. Ayan. How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia. So, this novel, the whites of your eyes are yellow. Your eyes. Ikaw. So, kinakausap ka. Second person. A consequence of spiking bilirubin levels in your blood. The virus afflicting you is called hepatitis E. Its typical mode of transmission is fecal-oral. Yeah, it kills only about 1 in 50, so you're likely to recover. But right now, you feel like you're going to die. So ito, kitang-kita kagad, casted ka. Bilang reader, casted yung reader as a character in the story. Okay. Ayan pa isa. You have friends who actually care about you and speak the language of the inner self. You have avoided them of late. your soul is as disheveled as your apartment. So, kitang-kita na yung word na you. Second person. Okay. Now, may third person. Dati tatlo lang sila eh. Ngayon naging apat. Kasi dinivide into two si third person. Tingnan natin kung paano siya dinivide. The first is third person limited. Okay. Si third person limited, it only reveals what one character sees, think, and feels. So, ibig sabihin nito, hindi may element of surprise. Kumbaga, oo, narrator siya, third person. Kasi yung third person, ano to eh, gumagamit ng she, he, them. So, hindi ikaw yung character as reader. Hindi rin yung character yung nagkukwento. Merong separate na narrator. Gets nyo ba ako? So, si third person, may sarili talagang narrator. Si first person, ang narrator isa sa mga character. Si second person, ang narrator ay hindi narrator. Kasama ka sa character bilang reader. Second person. Pagdating kay third person naman, ang part naman na ito, meron siyang separate na narrator. Kaya tingnan nyo yung nakalagay siya. She delivered the cake, careful not to reveal the secret ingredient hidden within. Okay, class. So, di ba sabi dito, it only reveals what one character sees, thinks, and feels. So, ang ni-reveal niya lang, itong character na to, si Mrs. Ways, which is the maid, ang ni-reveal niya lang ay magde-deliver siya ng cake. Okay? Magde-deliver siya ng cake at sinabi dito na meron daw secret ingredient hidden within this one. At hindi niya sinabi nung narrator kung ano yung nasa loob. So, hindi niya sinabi, limited, kumbaga, may element of surprise gaya ng sinabi ko kanina. So, only reveals what one character sees, thinks, and feels. Okay, tingnan natin yung strengths niya. Okay, it offers a similar level of intimacy to first person, allows readers to learn new information as the POV character does. So parang anong nangyayari dito, many mainstream genres benefit from this POV kasi nga, 'di ba, ang ginagamit niyang mga pronoun ay he, she, them, so super safe. Safe siyang gamitin. Okay. Yun nga lang, ang potential pitfalls kapag limited siya, the narrator must only reveal what the POV character knows. Ito mga pala class ha. Kapag third person POV, kasi nga may narrator, so nag-change yung point of view. Pwedeng sa story na to, ang medyo point of view dito ay si Katniss, tapos maya-maya si Pita. So, pwedeng iba-iba. Kaya siya third person limited. Okay? Authors must be careful not to filter all observation through the character, no? She saw, she noticed, kasi minsan na-overpopulate yung yung story. So, yan. So, ulitin ko, si third person limited, hindi niya nire-reveal lahat-lahat ng sikreto. Kasi yan yung magic nung tinatawag natin na third person limited. Okay. So, let's have some example. Ito, Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. But Ender knew, even as he thought it, that Peter wouldn't leave him alone. There was something in Peter's eyes when he was in his mad mood. See, hindi niya sinabi kung ano yung tunay na nararamdaman ni Peter. Sinabi niya lang na meron daw something dun sa mata niya kapag siya ay mad mood. Okay? And whenever Ender saw that look, that glint, he knew that the one thing Peter would not do was leave him alone. Ayan. So, diba, nakita kagad natin na hindi sinabi or walang ni-reveal. So, kumbaga safe. Tapos parang ikaw na lang yung magugulat na, okay. So, ganun pala yung nangyari. May element of surprise. Okay. Tapos ayan, katulad ito. Something very painful was going on in Harry's mind. Ang tanong, ano yung painful? Ano yung naalala ni Harry that made it very painful. So later on na siya sinabi. Nung si Harry Potter na yung nagsabi, okay? As Hagrid's story came to a close, he saw again the blinding flash of green light more clearly than he had ever remembered it before. And he remembered something else. For the first time in his life, a high, cold, cruel laugh. Hagrid was watching him sadly. So, kung babasahin mo tong buo, makita mo kagad na wala naman siyang ni-reveal na hindi nakikita ni Harry Potter. So, kapag ikaw ay third person limited, kung ano lang yung nakikita, kung ano lang yung nandiyan, no, yun lang yung nire-reveal mo. Okay? Pero, kapag third person omniscient, lahat nire-reveal. Okay? So, ito yung mga revelation part. Ayan. So, third person omniscient, narrators can reveal anything about anyone. So, tingnan nyo itong ano. Ito yung kwento kasi ng tatlo kanina. Diba? So, little did they know that by the end of the night, only one of them would be alive. See? Sinabi kagad ni narrator na mamamatay yung dalawa sa kanila. Kuha ninyo yung third person omniscient.
Yes po.
So, bigla na lang yung sinabi, no? Kumbaga, mayroon na kagad siyang, kumbaga, may spoiler. So, may mamamatay, ganun. Tapos, strengths. Allows the narrator to employ a voice distinct from any character. The author has the freedom to relate any information at any time and can be useful for telling sprawling stories. So, maraming ganito, maraming third person omniscient, no? So, while head popping is permitted, yan, head popping, kumbaga, boom. Parang sinabi kagad, mind blown kagad, sinabi niya kagad siya. All efforts should be taken to avoid it. Kasi kailangan, may element of surprise yung story mo. So, kailangan, kung gagamit ka ng third person omniscient, make sure that it will be used properly. Or else, magkakaroon siya ng pitfall. Okay? That provides less intimacy with characters than closer points of view. So, sinabi mo kasi kagad na mamamatay na siya, na malapit na siya mamatay. So, parang, ini-expect tuloy ng tao na mamamatay na siya. Ganun. Unless di mo siya mamatay sa dulo, di ba? So, pwedeng gano'n. So, yun nga, art of doing it. Or art of using the point of view of the characters. So, yan. Ayan. So, in the land of Ingary were such things as, ayan, baka may nakaparala na house moving castle. So, yan. It is a third person omniscient point of view. It is quite a misfortune. Ayun, nakagad sinabi niya kagad, di ba? Misfortune na daw ang maging panganay sa tatlong magkakapatid. Okay, so, in that part, class, it becomes an omniscient because it reveals something that could be further elaborated. Pwede kasing yung reader mismo yung makapansin ng misfortune siya kapag tatlo, eldest of three, tas ikaw yung eldest of three na mamalasin siya. Pwede kasing si author gagawa siya ng series of stories or series of events na magpapakita na kapag ikaw ay eldest of three, may misfortune. Pero dito, sa story ni House Moving Castle, to cut the story short, ay sinabi niya na kagad na misfortune to be born, the eldest of three. Gets niyo ba ka doon? Aya, Brian, si JCJ, Marcy?
Oo.
Yes po.
Okay, very good. So, yan yung tinatawag natin na types of elements of a plot, no? Ngayon, in elements of a plot, elements of a fiction. Ngayon, class, so nakapag-usap na tayo. Character, anong sunod ng character? Anong sunod ng setting? Character, sunod?
Plot.
Sunod?
Point of view.
Okay. So, after ng plot, theme, tapos?
Team. Point of view po.
Okay, point of view. Ang last natin na pag-uusapan ng isang element din ng isang fiction ay yung gagamitin mong literary device. So, ito yung literary device. Sige nga. Can you please read, Aya?
Literary device. It refers to the specific methods writers employ in their works to convey messages. Readers, on the hand, look for several literary techniques when examining or analyzing a text or simply evaluating a text's artistic value.
Okay, dun tayo sa, to cut the story short, a literary device is the artistic way of catching the interest of the readers in making fiction. So, eto yung mga techniques. Paano ba, ano ba yung mga pwede kong gawin habang sinusulat? Ano ba yung pwedeng maging flow ng story ko? Ano yung mga events na pwede kong ilagay? Ano yung pwedeng mga techniques to convey the messages to employ or that could I employ to my work? So that is a literary device. So meron ako mga sasabihin sa inyo na iilan, tapos kayo nang bahala kung yun ang gusto nyong gamitin kapag gumawa kayo ng story. Okay. So let's have this one. Types of literary devices. Yan. Una yung flashback. Naku, alam natin ng flashback. It is actually a literary device by which a work presents material that occurred prior to the opening scene. Various methods may be used such as recollections of characters, narration by the characters, dream sequences, and reveries. Okay. So, flashback, alam natin yan. Minsan nga, nag-iiba pa nga yung ano, di ba? Yung kumbaga, feature, yung effects, yung video, yung black and white, mga ganyan. Usually, ganon. Pero, sometimes, ganyan. Ito. See? So, may flashback na nangyari. Okay? So, flashback yan. Alright? So, yan yung tinatawag natin na isang style na pwede natin gamitin sa paggawa ng story. Okay? So, number 1 yan. Flashback. Okay. Okay. That is flashback. Let's go to number 2. So, flashback. Kung may flashback, yung flashback kasi past experience, no? Na pinapakita. Ito namang isa, foreshadowing. Pag sinabi natin foreshadowing, yung future naman yung pinapakita niya. Okay, yung ano yung pwedeng material in a work in such a way that later events are prepared for. So, parang nape-predict mo na kung ano gusto ni author na i-predict na ma-predict ng readers na may mangyayaring ganito. So that what? Kasi ang purpose ng foreshadowing is to prepare the reader or viewer for action to come. So parang mag-expect ka na ganito yung mangyayari, no? Gusto niyang mag-draw ka ng something sa imagination mo na pwedeng ito yung mangyari sa mga susunod. Bigyan ko kayo ng magagandang foreshadowing.
Do you really think it's a good idea to go back to Earth?
What movie is this?
Of course, people love
Ragnarok.
Very good. Thor Ragnarok.
Do you really think it's a good idea?
This is the ending. End credits yan.
Probably not enough, I'll be honest. Well, when I wonder, brother. I feel like everything's gonna work out fine.
I gotta say, I'm proud of you all. This revolution's been a huge success. Yay us. Pat on the back. Pat on the back. Come on. No? Me too. Because I've been a big part of it. Can't have a revolution without somebody to overthrow. So, you're welcome. And, it's a tie.
Okay. So doon pa lang, makita kagad natin na may foreshadowing. Ano yung foreshadowing doon? Sige nga, ano yung foreshadowing doon?
Sir, yung malaking ship ni Thanos, sir.
Okay, very
Parang
good.
ganun
Yung
may
malaking ship
nangyari.
ni Thanos, nagsasabi siya na, Infinity War na. Diba? So, sinasabi niya doon na may magaganap pa na isang malaking event in the later parts of the movie, of the installment of the movie. So, yun yung tinatawag natin foreshadowing. Lahat actually ng end credits ng Marvel are good examples of foreshadowing. Yung mga end credits nila. Kasi, they are preparing the moviegoers, they are preparing the audience, o pag sa comics naman, they are preparing the readers to what? To preparing for something that will happen in the future installment of the novel or the story. So, yun yung foreshadowing. Okay. So, that's number 2. Okay. Next na pwede nyo gamitin ay rhetorical device. Simple lang ito, guys. This is just the art of evoking the emotional response. No? This is the art of letting the readers to feel the entire story. Ito yung paano mo gagamitin yung mga salita, paano mo gagamitin yung mga words na ginagamit mo dun sa story mo. So, it could be yung mga figures of speech, diba? So, ito na yung through words, how we're going to influence or persuade your audience. So, that is a rhetorical device, no? So, number 3 yon. So, una natin kanina, flashback. Foreshadowing, rhetorical device na ngayon. Then, sensory details. Okay? Sensory details are details in writing that describe what is seen, heard, smelled, tasted, or touched. So, sensory sense. Dapat hinahayaan nyo yung mga readers ninyo na alam nyo yung ma-feel, yung napi-feel ng mga characters ninyo. So, that is an art of writing a fiction. So, dapat alam nila kung ano yung nakikita ng character mo, ano yung naamoy, ano yung narinig. So, dapat iparamdam mo sa kanila yun. So, that is one of the literary devices that you should use in making a fiction. After nun, meron din tayong allusion. So, si allusion, kalimitan lang kasi ito ginagamit kapag, ano kasi ito it's referencing a literary work to another work of literature, art, or real event. The reference is often brief and implied. Okay. So, usually, ito yung parang, halimbawa, character sa story. Right now, itong ginagawa natin isa whole fiction story. Kunwari, mga characters tayo sa story. Is nag-uusap tayo. Tapos ako, bigla kong sasabihin na, yung love story halimbawa ni Brian ay parang Romeo at Juliet. So, napansin nyo doon, na binanggit ko si Romeo at Juliet. Tama? So, it's actually referencing. Allusion yon. Okay? Parang, nag-reference ako ng isang literary work sa another literary work. So, halimbawa, isa pa, yung kanyang kapangyarihan ay katulad nung kay Zeus. Yun yung nabasa ninyo, halimbawa yung nabasa nyo dun sa libro na binabasa nyo right now, for example, ang nakalagay doon, the power is like the power of Zeus handling the power of thunder. So, doon, sinabi, binanggit si Zeus. Si Zeus ay hindi part ng story na yon. Si Zeus ay part ng story ng mythology. Pero nabanggit siya doon. allusion yon. So, nagbabanggit ka ng mga literary works sa iyong literary work mismo. Pero, hindi mo sila exactly ginagawang part ng story. So, kumbaga parang comparison lang. In comparison to, in reference to. Kaya nga tinawag siyang allusion. Okay, malinaw tayo kay allusion. Malinaw tayo kay allusion.
Opo, sir.
Okay. So, next is cliffhanger. Yung ayaw natin yan. Oo, ayaw natin. It is a literary technique by the author to arouse curiosity among readers by ending a chapter or story abruptly. Diba? Sino na naka-meet ng cliffhanger?
Ako, sir.
Ako po, sir.
Lagi.
Okay. Eh, ang ating mga boys, ang ating the boys,
Sir.
nakamit na ba kayo ng
Hindi yata
cliffhanger
nila alam
ng mga
yan, sir.
stories? Yung parang binitin kayo?
Parang sa Marvel, sir, minsan, ganun.
Oo, meron nga. May mga cliffhanger, yung bitin, yan, yung mga foreshadowing nila, lagi yung bitin. Laging cliffhanger. Bray, yan, yung mga mahilig sa anime, mga, ano ba, may mga namit na ba kayong mga anime na cliffhanger? Ganyan. So, kasi,
One Piece.
Slam dunk, sir.
okay, Slam Dunk. Okay. Anong naging cliffhanger ng Slam Dunk, Bray?
Yung ano, sir, yung sa dulo, yung
Tapos.
yung finals nila, sir. Nakabang pa kasi sila, sir, nun eh. Sa championship na po. Yung naka-championship na.
Tapos, pinutol.
Putol na, sir.
Okay.
Hanggang wala pa rin.
Next episode na lang.
Actually, ginagamit yan sa mga series talaga. Cliffhanger ang ginagamit nilang literary device para i-cut. Para may aabangan kayo, syempre, may viewers
Para
sila sa
subaybayan.
susunod. Ganon. Okay. So, cliffhanger. Okay. Kaya kapag nanonood ng series, ayoko ng yung hindi pa tapos. Pero, maganda kasi yung start-up talaga, kaya talagang sinusubaybayan. So, types of literary device. Ito pa isa. Juxtaposition. Ito mahilig to, no? Yung juxtaposition is comparison, no? It's comparing two different things in artistic way. Hindi siya basta kinumpare, 'di ba? Halimbawa, tinanong kita, Brian. Halimbawa si Brian, tsaka si si Brian tawag ko na kanina eh. Sige, Aya, can you please differentiate pencil from a ball pen?
Pencil po is made up of wood, then yung lead niya, yung pangsulat niya po is lead, then ball pen is made out of plastic, and yung pangsulat niya po is ink.
Okay, very good. That is a direct comparison. Pag juxtaposition, hindi niya kagad sasabihin kung ano yung mga qualities ng ball pen. Hindi niya kagad sasabihin yung qualities. Isipin nyo, si ball pen ay antagonist, si pencil ay protagonist, for example, sa story. Hindi niya sasabihin kaagad kung ano yung difference between the two. Rather, papakita niya yung buhay na kinalakhan ni pencil at yung buhay na kinalakhan ni ballpen. Juxtaposition. It's the art of comparing two different things, hindi directly, but artistically, contrasting ideas to be able to emphasize the differences. It's either of good and evil, life and death, truth and lies, or among others. Okay? So, tingnan nyo ito.
Water's boiling. Quick, chuck 'em in. Come on, chuck 'em in.
Okay.
Let's go. In the pot.
Move. But Mark, look at the little guy.
It looks like an ordinary cow. Son of a...
Feel that, Marge? He likes you.
Okay. So, what is the juxtaposition in that part? What is the juxtaposition?
Sir, yung tingin ni Homer dun sa parang cute na
Okay.
Kalima.
Pero,
Tapos yung tingin ng babae na parang siya,
monster.
parang maninipit.
Oo, monster. Parang ganon. So, ano yung juxtaposition doon? Pinakita yung difference between the perspective of the man and din sa perspective ng isang character na babae. Okay? Yung perspective ni Homer at saka yung perspective ng babae na isa, pinakita yung difference. So, nakita nyo kagad na may differences between the perspective of the two. Di ba? Nag-gets ba ako? So, may differences. Okay.
Opo, sir.
So, ito pa isa.
Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. I'll never join you! If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No. I am your father.
Okay.
What's your name? You're quite the fighter, Gamora.
Okay.
The presence. This is our...
So, mahaba pa yan eh. So, ang mahalaga nakita nyo, ang juxtaposition, comparing, yung nagko-compare siya in an indirect, hindi naman sa indirect, talagang napapakita niya kung ano yung comparison between the two. Pero hindi siya basta-bastang nag-compare na sinabi kagad as ito yung pinagkaiba nilang dalawa. Hindi
Pinapakita pero hindi sinasabi.
Yes, very good, Marcy. Hindi siya sinabi agad. Okay? Pinapakita. Instead na sabihin, pinapakita. That is juxtaposition. Okay. And then ito pa, stream of consciousness. Kalimitan nakikita nyo ito sa mga mga series, mga anime na pinapanood ninyo. So, ito yung the plot is developed based on the character's reminiscence or recollection of events through fragments. So, mga siya, nasa utak na, kumbaga, may isang narrator na, tapos, kinukwento niya yung experience niya based doon sa kanyang events, yung mga events and thought fragments. So, mga mga na-experience na niya. Wala akong maalala, may naalala kong movie dito, pero hindi ko Siguro one example is yung kay Paulo Ballesteros na movie niya. Hindi ko alam kung napanood niyo. Yung namatay siya, nagme-makeup siya, namatay siya, die beautifully tayo.
Die beautiful.
Di ba yung story nun kasi fragments yon ng memories nung kaibigan niyang si Barbs. So fragments yon. So pinagdugtong-dugtong yung mga experience, mga events, recollection para mabuo yung buong movie na yun. So kumbaga, yung lahat ng nangyari tapos na. Tapos this is just a series of kwento. Kinukwento na lang siya ni narrator, ni main character. So, nagets niyo ako? Stream of consciousness.
Parang flashback, sir, pero third person.
Yes, flashback siya, pero siya yung foundation siya na yung buong movie, siya na yung buong story. Parang gano'n. Kasi di ba si flashback, ginagamit lang siya pag naalala, ganyan. Tapos, o kaya...
Parang yung parang yung Life of Pi ba yan? Parang gano'n.
Hindi ko siya panood yung Life of Pi eh. Paano ba ang Life of Pi?
Ano yun, sir? Parang siyang meron journalist, tapos meron siyang in-interview na tapos yung character yung lead. Kinikwento niya yung ng movie sa pinaka-uli.
Thank you for reminding me, no, CJ. Tama yan, yan sinabi mo. Pwede yung mga interview na yan, ito makaka-relate kayo. Titanic.
Yes.
Di ba si Titanic, ini-interview lang si Rose sa dulo?
Yes po, sir.
So, stream of consciousness lang siya. Titanic nga pala, yun. So, it's Titanic. Okay. So, next is Amartia or tragic flow. It refers to the paikling ko na lang ha. Yung Amartia naman kasi, it's a literary device wherein yung bida natin, nagkamali siya ng desisyon. So, nagkaroon ng error in judgment. Nag-lead siya sa downfall. Okay? Nag-lead siya sa panibagong problema. Nagkamali ng decision si hero. Okay? Or the person involved. Okay? This is an example. Know this movie? Romeo and Juliet yan.
Dayless bargain to engrossing death.
So, nasan yung hamar siya dito, yung tragic flow. Yung tragic flow dito, kasi masyadong mahaba yan, nagsimula sa desisyon ni Juliet. Si Juliet ang nagsimula ng tragic flow. Tragic flow, I mean. Kasi bakit? Kasi in this part, no, to kasi kung alam niyo yung story ng Romeo at Juliet, si Juliet ay nagpanggap na patay. 'Di ba? May pinainom sa kanyang gamot para hindi siya humihinga kunwari. So magigising siya bigla. Hindi niya sinabi yung secret na yun kay I don't know what went wrong, pero hindi nakaabot kay Romeo yung balita na yun. Siyempre kung ikaw si Romeo, pinaglalaban mo nga si Juliet, gano'n. So nung nandyan na siya sa libing na yan, Lamay ay tinangka na rin ni Romeo magpakamatay. At nagtagumpay si Romeo sa pagpapakamatay. Yung namatay siya, yan. Yung part na yan, namatay siya. So, yung decision ng heroine, which is Juliet, yun yung nag-lead sa death ni Romeo. Ayan. So, uminom na siya ng lason. Nakainom na siya ng lason. So, amar siya. May amar siya. Okay? So, yan. So, namatay si Boy. Matay siya. Yeah. Kaya, magaling si Shakespeare. Kay Shakespeare yan, it's Romeo and Juliet. So, tragic ending. Ganda ng mga ending yan ni William Shakespeare. Ayan. Yun. Namatay siya. At ang dulo nito, kung hindi nyo pa napapanood, spoil ko na kayo. Nagpakamatay din si Juliet. Sa mamamagitan ng barel nito.
Parehas silang namatay, sir.
Ha?
Parehas silang namatay, sir.
Parehas silang namatay.
Parehas
tragic ending yan. Yung anong tawag dito? Romeo and Juliet. Namatay si Romeo, namatay si Juliet. Yan talaga yun. Okay. So, meron pang isa. Alam. Okay. So, ayan. So, dahil kay Star-Lord, yung decision niya na suntok-suntukin si Thanos, yun. Nawala sila sa plano nila at yun, na-wipe out yung kalahating population ng universe. Kasi nag-click na si Thanos na, nag-snap na. Okay. So, that's the one hamar siya. Lagi yung meron, guys. Laging meron yan sa mga story usually. Kasi bakit? Kasi, yun nga, minsan dapat magkamali si hero kaya si heroine para maging magandang story. Okay. So, types of literary device. It's the catharsis. Second to the last yata to. It's the emotional release. Kumbaga, si catharsis, ito yung scene na may nalaman si one of the characters. It could be the protagonist, it could be the antagonist, no? May nalaman siya na totoo, truth. Parang ito yung revelations, usually mga revelations to. Catharsis ang tawag doon. Okay? Emotional release or cleansing of the characters or audience or readers from strong emotions, usually brought by learning of the truth or when confronted with difficult situations. Catharsis din yung kapag halimbawa nalaman na ni lalaki na may sakit si babae, tapos bigla siyang iiyak, gano'n, magdadrama, ganyan, catharsis yun. Okay? So, it's the revelation of the truth or confronted with difficult situations. So, hindi rin nawawala yan sa isang story, catharsis. This is an example of catharsis. Napag-usapan natin kanina yung Encantadia. So, nag-sample ako ng Encantadia. It is also a catharsis. A good example of catharsis.
Narito na ang iyong mahal. Walang saysay ang iham na yan pagkat hindi naman naiintindihan ng nakasulat na yan. Kita mo na? Walang kawawaan ang mga nakatigil yan. Kakamali ka muna. Pagkat may mahi ka dito. Mahal ko, anak. Batid kong labis-labis mo akong kinamumuhian ngayon pagkat inaakala mo hindi kita tunay na minahal. Lalo't hindi ko pinagkaloob sa iyo ang magiging reyna. Walang pagduda na karapat-dapat kami reyna. Pagkat ikaw ay matapang at matalino. Ngunit na naiksiyamihan sa paligsahan kaya kapalaran niya ang nakatala. Bagay na lalong nagpahiwalay sa ating dalawa kaya hindi ka masisisi kung bakit ako ay iyong ginawa at tinalikuran. Kung bakit mo iniwan ng lalayo para umanib sa Hatoria, sa kaharian ng iyong tunay na ama. Sa mga panahon iyon, may isang bagay akong hindi nasabi sa iyo. Mga salitang alam ko na ngayon nararapat sana narinig mo. Ngunit hindi ko nagawang sabihin sa iyo. At ngayon ay iibig kong malaman. Hindi ko man naging reyna. Nahinamon man ako at kinabuhian. Ngunit mahal pa rin kita. Kaya patawarin mo ako na nagula ako sa iyo ng pagpapaunawa na hindi mo kailangan magiging reyna upang ipagmalaki kita. Sa kabila ng lahat, nagkamali ka man at nagkasala sa akin. Ngunit umaasa pa rin ako na babalik ka. Pagkat hindi tuloy ang magiging masaya ang Mireyo. Kung mawawala sa akin ang panganay kong anak. Nagmamahal ang iyong ina. Mireyo.
Hindi ko akalain na ganyan pala ang kilala mo ng sulat na yan. Kahit nasa debas na si Minea ay patuloy niya pa rin inilog ang iyong ulo.
Bakit hindi mo agad ibigay sa akin? Bakit mo itinago?
Ano bang saysay na pag-usapan natin ngayon to, Perera, dahil nasa gitna tayo ng digmaan?
Ang ibig kong malalaman kung bakit.
Dahil kagaya mo ay isang malaking sumpa ang magkalahating diwata at kalahating hator. Minaltrato nila ako at minaliit sa Hatoria. Kaya nung tutusan na ni Hathor na mag-istiya para sa kanya sa Mireyo, inilihim ko ang aking pagiging Hathor. Itiniling niya rin na bantayan kita sa iyong paglaki. Kaya noon ay ininako ko na gagabayan kita na hindi mo maranasan ang paghihirap na pinagdaanan ko noon. Kaya dapat ay magpasalamat ka sa akin.
Magpasalamat! Ginawa mo yun para sa iyong sarili at hindi para sa akin. Malaking bagay ginagawa sa namin na nahaguro na! Matagal kong ininitiyak ako at hindi ako lumahas sa aking isipan.
tayo sa Spiro.
Okay.
Balang araw, natatiyak ako. Ikaw ang maaaring sa iyo na ako sa korona ng nilirigay. Hindi ko wala nang araw sa iyo. Higit na naman ni si Ana nito sa iyo. Kaya maganda ka. Si Ana na nilirigay at ikaw. Huwag ka magpapatalo sa awa sa sarili. Papapasagamin mo ang nalala mo upang makakasasala ang iyo. Magalit ka. Gamitin mo ang galing at makuha ang gusto mo. Toong hindi mo kaya na malaki ang kabubuhay rin. Gaya na ng iyong ama. Ang iyong ama na naman mo sa'yo. Ngunit ano ang gagawin kapag nadalaman mo kagaya ka na siya kinikilan? Papapaglang naman ka. Naranasan mo kung paano saksakin sa likod gaya ng ginawa sa akin. Kung ibinigay mo na sana sa akin agad ang ihap, hindi na sana ako tuluyang lumayo sa akin at mga kapatid. Ngunit ipinagkait mo ang pagkakataon na marinig ko ang paliwanag ng aking kaya hindi kita mapapatawad sa iyong ginawa. Bakit alam ko laga? Di mo panakura.
So that is a catharsis, no? So emotional release, no? May facts, may truth na na-confront during this story. So dapat meron din kung gagawa kayo ng story, dapat may catharsis kayo. It's a part of the story, no? And then last but not the least na pag-aralan na natin yan, it's the figurative language. So it will add spice, no? Ay patok sa panlasa ng mga tao kung malalagyan nyo siya ng figurative language, analogy, alliteration, simile, onomatopoeia, idiom, hyperbole, personification, metaphor, euphemism, proverb. So, yun yung mga magiging mas magaganda pang mga part or magiging okay na parts ng stories ninyo. Okay. Yeah. So, ayan, nalaman natin yan kanina. Alright, so, do you have any questions regarding our lesson for today? Ayan.
Wala naman po, sir.
Okay, so malinaw ba yung story natin, yung elements of affection? Malinaw naman tayo.
Hindi na po, sir.
Malinaw.
So I hope natuto tayo ngayon, tsaka nag-enjoy tayo sa lesson natin. Sana each part ng lesson natin nag-enjoy tayo. Kasi maganda naman yung mga topics natin at siguradong yung iba sa inyo ay talagang gumagawa ng mga ganyan or tumatangkilik sa mga stories, mga movies, mga fiction stories, di ba? So alam natin yan. Okay. So for the activity, magpo-post ako doon. Meron akong shinare sa inyo before na 2 weeks ago pa yon na short story na video, yan. Ako ang isa sa nag-direct doon. So I'm the advisor of that movie. So technically the producer. So panoorin niyo siya kasi may mga questions ako na manggagaling doon, which is also a part of our lesson for today. So maganda yung magiging message nung movie na yun. Kahit ako nagulat na after namin magawa yun. Yung mga gumawa ng movie na yun ay kasing age nyo lang din. So siguro kung kayo ay nasa present day na magkakasama tayo tapos face to face, malamang two of the things that you are going to do is to make a film and mag-drama. Okay. So, yung drama, pag-usapan natin yan sa susunod. Yun. Ayan. Also, in this activity, sa activity na gagawin natin, meron ulit akong worksheet na ibibigay. yung worksheet na yon may story doon, na may isang story pa doon. Tapos, medyo mag-craft na kayo ng konti sa utak ninyo ng possible short story na naiisip ninyo. Craft lang ng kaunti. Further instructions will be made doon sa ating Google Classroom. So, technically, may isang part doon sa worksheet na i-require kayong mag-isip ng isang short story. Kahit flash fiction lang. Na hindi, dati kasi video natin, di ba? Yung project niya sa November 27 next week. This time, susulat ko lang siya or ita-type. Meron nang nakagawa nun. So, I want you to apply the different techniques also, the literary techniques, apply it. Also, apply nyo rin yung elements of a plot and everything that could be a good part or good components of fiction. Alright? So, do you have any questions regarding our lesson for today?
Sir, for this week po yung mga activity na yan, sir.
Pag naman, pag week 6 ba? Week 6, yeah. Pag naman ako di ba nagbigay ng weekly activities, 2 weeks naman bago ipasa. So, technically, kung ibigay ko na siya mamaya, you will submit it, di ba, next week, yung susunod pa na week. So, December, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? So, may tanong pa ba kayo?
May by partner yun, sir.
Depende. Depende, anak. Sa weight. Okay? Makikita nyo naman sa instructions if ever.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any questions? May question pa ba? Okay. Seems like wala na. So, kung wala nang tanong regarding our lesson for today, see you next week. And you may now leave our Google Meets. See ya! Bye-bye!
Bye-bye, sir.
Okay.